So my name is Mary Airo. I'm the National Coordinator of the Paralegal Society of Kenya, and I'm excited being here today for the paralegal graduation because I'm one of the people who appreciate the paralegal model. The paralegal model comes to actually deal with some of the gaps in our justice system. We have quite a number of gaps in this actually contribute to the reason why we have prisons which are so congested. And one of the gaps I want to talk about is that we do not appreciate, non-custodial sentences. And we find that people with petty offenses will still make their way in the prison, where ideally we can actually release some of these people by giving them non-custodial sentences so that they are serving while outside there in the community. So that's one of the gaps, and of course I will still talk about that despite the fact that we have bail and bond policy, we still have bails which are so high, whereby inmates cannot actually not afford. So you find that the reality on the ground is that prisons are congested by poor people. So these are poor people who cannot afford the services of advocates because they don't have money to pay for it. And these are the same people who cannot afford the bills that are actually given. So when they're so high there, it means that the only options that they have is actually to stay within the prison. We also have a justice system which is more punitive, is not really focused to ensure that we are correcting these people. Because for me, correcting people does not necessarily mean that you have to place them in the prison system. They can actually be outside there to, being corrected and being monitored so that we ensure that this person does not slip back into crime. So I think those are some of the gaps that I find in the justice system. But of course, I will also talk about the fact that the government is a bit slow in terms of putting money to support legal aid. The Legal Aid Act is very clear that there needs to be legal aid fund, which the government needs to put money to ensure that Kenyans can actually access legal aid. So it's becoming difficult, and that is where now the paralegal model is coming in very handy. That the paralegals do not charge for their services and are actually found anywhere. They're found in the community, they're found in prison, are basically giving legal aid free of charge. But then you find that it's a bit tiring, and paralegals also have bills to pay. So if the government does not put money in legal aid, then it becomes difficult even for institutions which are government, like the National Legal Aid Services. Ideally, the National Legal Aid Services needs to be actually now in every county of this country. But National Legal Aid Services is still struggling and still in very few counties. Looking at now the demand for legal aid, if national legal aid is not within all the counties, that becomes very difficult. So then it depends on the civil society organization and of course who are using the paralegal model to ensure Kenyans can actually access justice. In regard to the Sexual Offences Act, I'm happy that the Sexual Offences Act is under review. And for me, I don't understand the hullabaloo of statements like the Sexual Offences Act is harassing men. The truth is, it is men who are the perpetrator. Bias. We have cases of women who have actually been charged. The Kisumu case of the lady who was charged with the sexual offense, having slept or defiled a young boy. This woman went to jail actually. And she was given, I think if I'm not wrong, a sentence of 15 years. That was a woman. So the majority of sexual offenders are actually men. And that's why men feel like the sexual offenses is not good for them. It is good for them. It is good for everyone because law comes into play to actually deal with the gaps which are within the community. So then, for me, I would wish for a sexual offenses which is more stronger, coming in more, more dealing with the perpetrators, so that then we have people not, defiling children, people not raping, and that will bring down the prison population. because the officer in charge said the prison population here, 30% of the inmates here are actually charged on sexual offenses. But then there are many factors. Of course, one of the factors I say is about the bail term, legal illiteracy, and of course, the perpetrators are men. So basically, I would say that I'm hoping that the new sexual offenses will even be much better in terms of dealing with sexual offense.
Yeah, for a very noble cause, prison, during education, graduation of paralegals trained, prisoners and prison officers trained to have a paralegal services, assisting our compatriots with legal assistance to go about their cases in court. So we were invited as the High Court team. We came to have a presiding judge, Justice Moody, who was able to come, and it has been a quite intimidating session. As you heard, we enjoyed our moot court, and we added certificates, encouraged the graduates to continue with their work of giving back to society as a way of giving back to society. So that's why I was here, and that is the statement I wish to make at your prompting.
Okay, earlier on, the officer in charge mentioned that 30% of prisoners in this facility are sexual offenders. Maybe in your line of duty, do you feel there's some gaps in our legal system that should be adjusted to address some of these sexual offenses?
Well, for sexual offences, I think it has to do with the fact that once they are convicted, the prison terms are usually lengthy. And if you heard me explain to the prisoners, the courts have no discretion. We are just looking at the duty. Once a prisoner and a person is convicted and then that sentence is meted out, there's nothing that the court can do. Usually, they are not eligible for the decongestion program because that one is confined to those offences up to 3 years. So prison term is very lengthy. So there is really nothing that the courts can do on their own. It's a legislative matter. Maybe if the legislature has a look at the law, maybe change the sentences. There is nothing that the court can do because we only implement what has been passed by the legislature and what the law says. So I think it has to do with the long prison terms, and usually that was eligible for the congestion program. Maybe the procedural pardon, normally some of them benefit from the procedural pardon, usually comes during holidays, but as a judiciary,
okay, maybe things to do with poverty and maybe lack of information has made many people lag behind in the prisons. Maybe what's your take as the judicial system in the Kenya to make sure make people feel free and maybe be able to look for the justice in the right way and be informed on what they're supposed to do?
We usually also have an engagement with the public. We have judiciary open days. If you follow the judiciary calendar, you'll notice that we usually have open days. Invited, all stakeholders in the administration of justice are invited. We exchange views. We are also educated, civic education that there also during that forum and other forums, including what I told the meeting here, the Court Users Committees Forum, that usually organized by the court periodically every 3 months. So those sessions help to educate people on their civic rights. And together with our one-on-one interaction when they come to court seeking services, we also remember there are also organizations that are charged with the duty of giving legal aid. Part of legal aid program is Kituo cha Sheria. So together with those partners, we usually offer that civic education to members of the public, even as far as how they go about their matters. We also are not likely to have legal representation. Yes.
Thank you.
So for procuratorial lawyers, as I said, usually with the judiciary itself and the initiative of the Chief Justice, that decided to hire procuratorial lawyers, giving them some small stipend to represent those charged with serious offences like murder, and also children who are in conflict. There are cases where children are charged, and because of vulnerability, the judiciary decided on using the little resources we get to provide lawyers and pay them something small. As I said, we also expect the lawyers not even to wait for the payment, some kind of giving back to society, to also even extend their services to others that we are not able to cover. But that is the only much that the judiciary can do for the resources that we have. As I said, ideally, every accused person ought to have a legal under the state expense, but because of the practicality of lack of funding, it's not possible to provide each and every accused person with legal research.